Welcome to Television Sydney News. I'm Farah Abdurrahman. It's great to have you with us. In this week's bulletin, 2 women charged after a young girl was injured with bleach in Kellyville. Anger at the RMS in Mount Annan, and a flash mob gets into the rhythm at Bankstown. But first, campaigners have been colouring Western Sydney streets in support of marriage equality. The DIY rainbow movement started after Roads Minister Duncan Gay ordered a rainbow pedestrian crossing be removed from Oxford Street, Sydney. Now chalk rainbows are appearing on footpaths, public squares and driveways across the west. Riverstone resident Cassandra Hooper lives with her partner Penny Whitmore and their 2-year-old son Arthur. The pair hope to one day get married in their backyard. The couple showed their support for the movement by drawing a rainbow on their driveway with the help of friend Lee Owers and her daughter Emily.
It has a huge impact on our lives. We own businesses here, we have a child here.
Miss Hooper says she and her partner got involved in the movement for the sake of their son. The colourful campaign has sparked debate among politicians, with the referendum proposed for the September federal election. Pam Gask is a member of the Parramatta-based Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gay support group and says parents want equal rights for their children.
My daughter could marry the love of her life. Why couldn't my son? He's not a second-class citizen. He should be entitled to the same rights as our daughter.
20-year-old Benjamin Hamwood gathered with friends in Blacktown to create a rainbow crossing in the village green.
We want to say that Blacktown is very supportive of marriage equality, and we support the LGBT community across Sydney and as well in Western Sydney.
The group plans to continue their campaign with a larger chalking event in Seven Hills in the coming weeks. 2 women have been charged after a bottle of what is believed to be bleach was allegedly thrown from a car at Kellyville, injuring a 4-year-old girl. A 36-year-old woman was pushing a 6-month-old baby in a pram and holding her daughter's hand in front of a childcare centre on Conrad Road when a bottle was thrown at them on Wednesday afternoon. The substance splashed onto the girl and she was taken to the Children's Hospital at Westmead for treatment. Norman Badayu, owner of the Play and Learn Childcare Centre, says the woman, baby and child had left his centre before the attack and had to return for first aid. 2 other women allegedly had items thrown at them in separate incidents around the same time. A 20-year-old woman from Glenmore Park and a 22-year-old woman from Ingleburn have been charged in relation to the incidents. They were both granted conditional bail to appear at Blacktown Local Court on June 12. A lollipop man has been cautioned against giving schoolchildren a high five at a Mount Annan pedestrian crossing. Bernie Robertson had been giving his young charges a friendly gesture for the past 13 years, but Roads and Maritime Services has cautioned the good-natured 70-year-old not to raise his hand for the customary greeting following a complaint from a parent. RMS says school crossing supervisors shouldn't engage in any activity which may distract from the primary role of managing the safety of children crossing the road. Parents angry at the RMS have organised a petition and say their kids are now just confused. The Environment Protection Authority has given mining giant BHP Billiton 3 years to introduce measures to stop discharges from coal mines polluting the Georges River. The company has been ordered to cut salinity and heavy metals released into the waterway. Acting on BHP's own data, the EPA found downstream discharges raised the river salinity to 10 times the amount in similar waterways. But Macarthur Bushwalkers President Ken Hall sees the order as a hollow victory for environmentalists, asking why it has to take so long to stop the pollution. Rockdale Council has vowed to investigate claims by a member of the Comanchero Bikie gang that the group has set up a new clubhouse in Torrella. Fairfax Media report to the commander of the Comanchero South chapter, Mohammed Mick Hijazi, said the Bikie group was expanding with a new clubhouse in southern Sydney. But a Rockdale Council spokesman says there's been no official application for any sort of clubhouse in the area. The spokesman declined to comment on whether the council was concerned about the Bikie gang's presence. The family of a young woman killed on the Hume Highway has launched a national road safety campaign to protect emergency workers. Peter Fraser launched the 2013 Yellow Ribbon campaign in Penrith on Sunday, with the slogan "Drive so others survive." The campaign urges drivers to slow down when they approach an incident on the road and give emergency workers room to do their job.
When you're approaching an incident, slow down, move over into the lane away from to let people do their job.
Sarah Fraser from the Blue Mountains and tow truck driver Jeff Clark were killed by a passing truck after Sarah's car broke down on the highway in February last year. Mr. Clark's brother, Kevin, was emotional as he read a letter of support for the campaign from Governor-General Quinton Bryce at the launch. Peter Fraser started the Safer Australian Roads and Highways group shortly after Sarah's death. The group has received support for its campaign from emergency service workers, politicians and transport groups around the country.
We want a slow by 30 law to be implemented across Australia. So when you're approaching an incident, you slow down by 30 kilometres an hour and you move into the adjacent lane away from the people who are trying to do the work and save other people's lives. Drivers
are being urged to support the campaign by tying yellow ribbons to their cars. The campaign began on May 6 to coincide with International Road Safety Week and will finish on Sunday. Father and son bushwalkers from Emu Plains will reenact the European crossing of the Blue Mountains. Saturday is the 200th anniversary of the crossing by Blaxland, Wentworth and Lawson, who started at St Mary's and ended at Mount Blaxland near present-day Lithgow in 1813. 47-year-old Richard Harris and his 15-year-old son Ben will travel the same route as closely as possible, aiming to finish the 100-kilometre journey in 3 days.
Very historic to me, like it's been something I've sort of delved in over the years as a Boy Scout, etc., and all the bushwalks over the years. It's sort of, now it's sort of like being a modern day explorer. The explorers had to deal with the rough terrain and we're now dealing with the traffic, I guess.
Mr Harris says his only regret is the lack of walking trails along the original explorers' route.
Most challenging part of this crossing of the Blue Mountains, I think, is really going to be avoiding traffic. The terrain's pretty clear now. There's a pathway most of the time for us, and it's just avoiding the traffic and making it safe.
Ben, who last year became the youngest person to cross the Simpson Desert, is looking forward to the adventure.
We've been training about 50 kilometres to 100 kilometres each week. I try to do at least one training each day.
And in another celebration of the crossing, 90 aircraft will follow the path of the first European explorers in a unique flyover later this month. 65-year-old pilot Cy Allsep from Mount Pritchard will be flying in his most prized possession, a 1955 de Havilland Beaver, on the May 25 flyover. A range of events, including a historic reenactment, a poetry reading, a market and a nut show will be held in Penrith's High Street on Saturday. Film lovers will get a peek into Arab culture when the 2013 Arab Film Festival lights up the screens at Parramatta's Riverside Theatre next month. The festival will include 8 feature films and 8 short films, all produced or directed by Arab filmmakers from Australia and around the world. 22-year-old Zahara Al-Sawami of Liverpool is putting the final touches on her film, Abu Nawas Kingdom, which will screen at this year's festival.
It talks about immigration and how immigrant people cope after arriving to the new country.
Ms Al-Sawami, who moved to Australia from Iraq when she was a child, says she entered the film festival to present the often untold story of her culture through art.
I believe that the Arab Film Festival shows a different side of the Arabic culture than what people usually hear or see on TV, on media.
Committee member and filmmaker Alizar Ghazal says the festival will challenge stereotypes surrounding Arab Australians and the Arab culture through this year's theme, Arab Men in Film.
We wanted to open a window to the Arab world. We wanted people to get a peek at the realities that exist in the Arab world.
Ms Ghazal says it was difficult to choose from the 100 films that were submitted this year, and audiences can expect to be moved and entertained when the films are screened on June 27. And in sport, the Greater Western Sydney Giants have officially opened and named their new multi-million-dollar training facility at Sydney Olympic Park. The Giants were previously based at the Blacktown International Sports Park and trained occasionally at Gibbs Road Oval in Greystanes, but will now permanently train and play in Homebush.
We take another giant step forward in our short history when our players run out today for the first time on our new training oval, the Tom Wills Oval.
Not everyone is happy about the move, with Holroyd Mayor Ross Grove saying the Giants' decision to leave the Greater Western Sydney area is disappointing. Coach Kevin Sheedy says he understands why some fans may be disappointed, but the club was forced to make a good, honest decision about the move to Homebush. Some fans may not be willing to travel to Homebush to see the Giants train and play, but others say they will continue supporting the team.
Whatever helps them win. If it's a better facility out at Homebush than it is in the Greater West, then as a growing team that they need to do whatever they can to, if they're winning, they're going to increase their supporter base, and that's what it comes down to.
Sheedy says the Giants will continue their relationship with the Western Sydney community by developing young AFL players from the region.
I think the most important thing we do now with Blacktown Olympic Park and the Greater Western Sydney area is that we start developing the kids there to be able to come and present themselves as fantastic players in the AFL.
A teenage skateboarder from Cronulla and two-time Australian junior title winner has become the 2013 Nike Skateboarding Australian Amateur Champion. 16-year-old Ryder Lawson was one of the youngest qualifiers in the Open Division finals. The Year 11 student was surprised by the win, saying he was simply happy to be in the finals. In April, he was named Slam Skate Magazine New Gen of the Year and has been signed by major US skate brand Flip. The West Sydney Trojans American football team are leading the competition with 2 matches before the playoffs. The Trojans are the junior division of the West Sydney Pirates Open Age team, which play their competition between September and December. An emphatic 25-6 win over the Northwest Predators last Saturday elevated the under-20s Trojans team to the top of the Gridiron New South Wales Football League table. Coach David Ward says the win was pleasing, especially considering the team hadn't played for several weeks because of cancelled games. Londonderry's Daniel Beecroft has taken out the elite women's title at the Western Sydney Mountain Bike Club's first downhill round of the year. The current junior world number 1 and women's 3rd overall downhill rider clocked a time of 2 minutes and 36 seconds at Wiseman Ferry's Del Rio Resort on Sunday. 40 riders came from as far as Newcastle to the event after meets organised early in the year had been cancelled due to wet weather and low numbers. The second round of the New South Wales State Series will also be held at Del Rio in June. And finally, school children made themselves heard at the University of Western Sydney's Bankstown campus on Thursday. 30 primary and 30 high school children joined the university's primary and early childhood students for a flash mob chair drumming event. The students used drumsticks to play rhythms on chairs in an event that attracted quite a crowd. The children travelled from Karela Primary School and Port Hacking High School to take part in the event. And that's all for this bulletin. For more information on any of these stories, pick up your local Fairfax community newspaper. I'm Farah Abdurrahman and we'll see you next time.